The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. West Point Chaplain Captain Raymond Akerewe will give the invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, here we stand before you in this august Senate. We ask your blessing on our nation, on our leaders, and especially those gathered here today. Bless this chamber and all who work here. Imbue in it your Spirit's presence, enlighten the hearts of our senators, and grant them wisdom, discernment, your Holy Spirit's discernment, that they may have the heart of a good shepherd, to be good stewards of this mission to which you have called and conferred on each of them. May they never forget the dignity and awe with which you created man. May the laws they consider be just, fair, and productive. May they respect human dignity, and may they have at their core the common good of the citizens of this state. May they continue to be selfless in their giving of self, but most especially, may integrity be their creed. Bless this long-standing friendship between this state senate and the United States Military Academy, West Point. May we continue to build a legacy left for us and find mutual benefit in this ongoing relationship. God bless the New York State Senate. God bless the United States Military Academy. God bless the United States Army, which we all so proudly serve. And God bless our nation and the work of our hands. Amen.
Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Wednesday, March 23, 2022, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. Journal of Tuesday, March 22, 2022 was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. The Secretary will read.
Senator Parker moves to discharge from the Committee on Energy and Telecommunications Assembly Bill number 7987, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7087A, third reading calendar 714.
So ordered. Reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Good morning, Madam President. We're going to begin by taking up previously adopted Resolution 2118 by Senator Skoufis. We're going to read that resolution's title, and we're going to start by having Leader Stewart-Cousins address this on the resolution.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 2118 by Senator Skoufis, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim March 24, 2022 as West Point Day in New York State.
Leader Stewart-Cousins on the resolution.
Thank you so much, Madam President. I want to first thank you, Senator Skoufis, for bringing this resolution forward. But I really want to thank our guests, Chaplain Captain Raymond Akerewe. Thank you for your beautiful prayer and your blessing. It is most welcome and most needed. And of course, we will be hearing from Colonel Quentin Kuhlman after the proceedings, but you honor us and grace us by being here. Thank you so much, all of you, for being part of this amazing day. I love this day, and this day has a 70-year history in this chamber. It transcends leadership and leaders and so on because of the value that you bring to the state of New York, to the nation, and to the world. The concept of this great institution dates back to President George Washington. It was created under President Jefferson and formalized by Brigadier General Sylvanus Thayer. West Point's become synonymous with Eisenhower and Patton, Bradley, Ulysses S. Grant, Blackjack Pershing, the first female graduate who shared my first name, Andrea Holland, and of course here in this chamber, the late, great Colonel William Larkin, and so many others. And I look at this class of young cadets, and I see the same dedication, courage, honor that West Point has cultivated over the centuries. Despite the uncertainties that we may face, you've all taken decisive action to be a positive force in the journey ahead. I hope that you know we're incredibly proud of you, and I hope that you also feel incredibly proud of what you represent and your accomplishments. As many in this chamber know, I have, a military family. My dad is a decorated World War II veteran. My brother served in the Marines in Vietnam. And they set an example for me and our family of what service looks like. The bravery, the selflessness has profound effects on me and my life and my children and their children. And it's a reminder of how important it is for us to invest in ensuring the greater good. I know that's what you represent here today, that their accomplishments prove your conviction and underscores the commitment to do just that, to manifest the greater good. The path forward may not always be easy, but it certainly is worthwhile. With every challenge that we face lies an opportunity to strengthen our resolve and dig deeper on the values that we hold dear. I hope and wish that your strength going forward will be not only important to you, but will continue to positively influence all around you. And while I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about the moment that we're in. Although many of us here have had, again, exposure to the military, family members in the military, people who have served, as I said, my dad and my brother served in wars. I know, however, that none of us have watched the unfoldment of war on a day-to-day basis in the way that we are watching the horror of the tragic war in Ukraine. And that's why your presence here in this chamber today really resonates in such a deep, deep level. Because as we watch this, as we hold our great nation and our democracy so dear, we know that the difference in our nation being free and being as great as it is because of people like you, people who are on the front line, who are willing to give of their lives for their fellow man, for the greater good, regardless of what that means. Your being here today underscores what it is that we must protect and we must preserve and we must respect and celebrate. So I, for one, will promise that on behalf of the Senate, that we will continue to work on your behalf and that we will always back our words, our passionate words, with real action that will protect you as you do the work that you have to do. So again, I thank you. I congratulate you. You inspire all of us. I hope you have a wonderful day here. You're going to go to the assembly. You're going to come back here to eat, and we'll take pictures, and we will, again, continue to celebrate you and wish you the best as you hold our highest values in front of everyone. I know your parents, your families are proud, and just know that you have a loving and proud family here as well. So thank you so much, Madam President.
Thank you, Leader Stewart-Cousins. Senator Skoufis on the resolution.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and thank you, Madam Majority Leader, for hosting this auspicious day and your eloquent words. It is wonderful to be back here in the chamber with West Point cadets after a 2-year absence due to the pandemic. Welcome to all of you. Before I get to my remarks, I do have the privilege of acknowledging and welcoming the officers who accompanied the cadets, as well as a few special thanks. First, as we heard from just a moment ago, Chaplain Captain Raymond Caraway. We're also joined by Colonel Quentin Kuhlman, Director of the Simon Center for the Professional Military Ethic, Lieutenant Colonel Beth Smith, Public Affairs Officer, Sergeant First Class Luisito Brooks, non-commissioned officer in charge, Captain Nicholas Tritone, United States Corps of Cadets Tactical Officer, Company C4, Jim Fox, United States Military Academy Community Engagement Chief. And I also want to express thanks to another co-host, Senator John Brooks, who I think we'll hear from in just a few moments as chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee, as well as Gary Ginsburg and his team in Senate Services, as well as the indomitable Secretary of the Senate, Ali Paulino, who this day would not have happened without her support and her team. So on the resolution, Madam President, it is my great honor and privilege to rise today as a senator from the 39th District, home to the United States Military Academy at West Point. West Point's long and decorated history along the Hudson River dates back to the American Revolution. Conceived by President Washington at a time of great uncertainty for a budding democratic nation, West Point stands as a beacon of duty, honor, and country, and has launched the careers of some of America's finest military and civilian leaders. In preparing to greet these young cadets today, my mind also couldn't help but consider what's happening in Eastern Europe. As we watch what's unfolding in Ukraine, I am struck by the unity and indefatigable resolve of the Ukrainian people. Their fight is one born not just of necessity, but of pride in their homes, in their heritage, and in the democratic ideals they're battling so diligently to protect. Though we're a world away, I know that this same pride and patriotism courses through each of us. If met with an existential threat akin to Russia's brutal, foolhardy display, I have no doubt that the American people would cast aside our differences, however unbridgeable they may seem from time to time, in defense of our democracy. And we would be led by the cadets we see before us. These young men and women represent the bright future of American diplomacy and strength. As a representative in this hallowed chamber, I believe I can safely speak for all of my colleagues in vowing to never lose sight of their sacrifices, past, present, or future, and their commitment to defend the hard-won freedoms we so often, unfortunately, take for granted. Cadets, my colleagues and I are profoundly grateful to each of you for dedicating your lives to our liberty, whether in peace or in peril. We hope this day serves as a small token of our gratitude. Know that the lawmakers gathered before you respect and honor your service. Thank you, and of course, go Army, beat Navy. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Skoufis, thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce Colonel Quentin Kuhlman, Director, Simon Center for the Professional Military Ethic. Please join us.
President Pro Tem and Majority Leader Stewart-Cousins, Senator Skoufis, Senator Brooks, Senate Services Director Ginsburg and his team of coordinators, and other members of this distinguished Senate, good morning, and thank you for having us here today. My name is Colonel Quentin Kuhlman, and on behalf of our Superintendent, Lieutenant General Darrell Williams, I am honored to address you this morning on behalf of the entire team at the United States Military Academy. We thank you for this recognition. I'm joined today by Cadet Diego Soto, 2nd Regimental Commander in the Corps of Cadets, and 8 cadets from across New York State, representing more than 4,000 members of the Corps of Cadets, 275 of whom call the Empire State home. It is wonderful to be able to join you in person for the first time in several years. COVID impacted us all profoundly the last 2 years. The leaders at West Point wish to express our appreciation for the support we received throughout the pandemic from state, local, and county leaders in New York. The spirit of collaboration and cooperation made successfully navigating COVID possible. Throughout our history, New Yorkers have stepped forward to do their duty, to serve their country and stand in the gap in defense of this great nation. The day I in-processed into the 82nd Airborne Division as a captain in 2004, my paperwork was being completed by an enlisted soldier, a specialist, who's normally fairly young, but in this case was visibly older than most, white-haired, a person who had a bit of life under his belt. I recall asking, "Specialist, what is your story? You're a bit older than most of our troopers." He proceeded to tell me that he was an investment banker on Wall Street when 9/11 happened, and he knew that he had to do his part. He walked away from a very lucrative job to serve his nation during wartime. His story, and the story of other selfless New Yorkers, is the strength of our nation. From the regiments of the New York Line during the American Revolution to units like the Fighting Irish of the 69th Infantry Regiment in Iraq and Afghanistan, New Yorkers have fought and served with valor and distinction, with some making the ultimate sacrifice. The United States Army has always had a strong presence in New York, to include West Point, from its early days as a strategic garrison in the fight against the British and the defense of the American colonies, to our role today as the world's preeminent leader development institution. And just as West Point has been an important thread in the fabric of the Empire State, so too have New Yorkers been an important thread in the fabric of West Point and the Academy. In addition to the 275 cadets currently attending, more than 7,700 graduates, nearly 10% of the Long Gray Line, claim New York as their birthplace, and many of whom have earned their place in the history books as leaders not only in the Army, but in government, business, academia, and more. Our mission at West Point is to enhance the readiness of the United States Army by developing leaders of character who are ready to fight and win our nation's conflicts. This very day, over 100 West Point graduates are currently serving in Eastern Europe, to include 4 battalion and brigade commanders. Developing leaders of character requires strong relationships and partnerships with many outside stakeholders, particularly those throughout New York State, which is really what today is all about. We would not be successful without the tremendous support of state, local, and county leaders. A Staten Island Advance op-ed that was published just today was written by Lieutenant Colonel Adam Scher, and it highlights the importance of those strong relationships. Adam Scher is a West Point graduate who was introduced on the floor of the State Assembly as a cadet on West Point Day in 2004, at the very event that we're attending today. 2 years later, he would find himself leading troops in Iraq, and on 12 February 2006, an enemy sniper killed one of his soldiers, Corporal Andrew Kimple. Unfortunately, Andrew Kimple's funeral in Minnesota was protested. Adam Scher wrote Assemblyman Cusick about Corporal Kimple's funeral experience, and Assemblyman Cusick then sponsored, and Governor Patterson signed a bill protecting military funerals in the state of New York. These are just one example of the powerful relationships that come from a day such as this. And we'd like to thank this esteemed body for helping preserve the dignity of our service members and their families. Our commitment to strong partnerships mean that we are also committed to being good neighbors with towns and communities across the state. We're always looking for ways to connect and build relationships and partner together on opportunities that will not only enhance the leader development experiences at West Point, but also benefit the communities as well. Military members are often thanked for their service, but I'd like to take this opportunity this morning to thank you for your service. A strong civil-military relationship and the mutual trust between the military and our society it serves is a cornerstone for our democracy. On behalf of the entire West Point community, and especially the men and women of the Corps of Cadets, thank you for your continued support, and thank you for honoring us today. We are greatly appreciative of your support. Go Army.
Thank you, Colonel Kuhlman. And now, next to speak, Senator Brooks on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to Leader Cousins-Stewards, our sponsor, Senator Skoufis. Thank you, Colonel, for your remarks. We are all very fortunate today to be here with these young men and women who represent a very unique segment of the United States Army. As a veteran, West Point is the cornerstone of the United States Army. As I look up to you, I see the future leaders of the United States Army. In these days right now, with the situation here in this world, we are reminded so vividly of why nations must retain an army, why it must be prepared. And you will eventually lead that army. I congratulate you for being accepted to one of the most outstanding educational facilities in the world, West Point. We thank you for the commitment that you're making. And we take great comfort and pride in the leadership that you will provide to the Army following completion of your degree at West Point. All of us on the Veterans Committee have worked hard to try to recognize all of our veterans who have served this nation and try to address some of the needs they have. But we also recognize the commitment you are making now and the commitment you make to the future so that this nation is fully protected and we can provide defense of this nation and the kind of events that we are seeing in the world today. All of us pray for your safety and the safety of all those that serve in the military. And all of us look forward to your continued growth and eventual leadership of this nation, carrying on the great tradition of all those who have gone through West Point and gone out to lead this nation and this world. Thank you very much for being here, and once again, congratulations. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Senator Brooks. Minority Leader Ort on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank, first of all, my colleagues in the majority for bringing this resolution and for continuing this important tradition that I think we can all agree is one of the better days we get to be a part of here in the Senate chamber, in the Capitol, where we get to thank and pay tribute and recognize the brave men and women who run and operate the United States Military Academy at West Point, but also are reminded that some of the very best and brightest that this nation has to offer and that this state has to offer, who could go to any school, who could pursue any career, choose to pursue a career of service, which I think should resonate with all of us, because we have chosen service to others, and they are choosing the same. And I want to thank them for being willing to do so. I don't know that it's ever been easy to raise your hand when you're 18 years old and say, "Send me," but I don't know that it's easy today. There's a lot of other things going on out there in the world, and there's a lot of things that reinforce that it's all about you, but you get it. It's not all about you. And you only need to turn on the news today to remember the seriousness of the job, the seriousness of the profession of arms that these men and women are embarking on. Because this isn't just about service or just about spending a time in the Army. The U.S. Military Academy at West Point really was founded to train the future leaders of the United States military. That's why it exists. It's not just there for all these folks to just go 4 years and out. These are the future Joint Chiefs of Staff. Somewhere in there is the future DOD Secretary, or the future leader of the United States Army, or the future leader of the 82nd Airborne, or maybe SOCOM. That's what West Point is designed to do. It produces the future leaders and visionaries who inform and advise presidents and senators and members of Congress, the civilian part of our government, on the best path forward for our future soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. And so that is a really awesome responsibility. It's really an awesome thing to think that someone sitting up there, don't get big heads, but someone sitting up there could be the next Joint Chiefs of Staff. But that's what West Point was founded on. And I'll just close by, we all have an image of West Point, and some of us I know have been there, and it's a great, great place to go visit, a lot of history. But for me, I had one privilege to serve, or one opportunity to serve with a West Point graduate in Afghanistan, Lieutenant Colonel James Walton, class of '89. He was absolutely the best leader that I came across in the United States Army. And at that time, he could have been at a cushy job, and he was, at the Pentagon. He could have been at a cushy job, and he was in Kabul. But he wanted to be out on the front lines. He wanted to be out where he thought, as he said to his father in a letter home, he wanted to be where he could do the most good. So I would encourage all of you to go be where you can do the most good. And I would certainly think we could all remember that phrase here in this role and our jobs, to be where we can do the most good. So, Madam President, thank you for allowing me a few minutes to speak on the resolution.
Thank you, Senator Ort. Senator Martucci on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to begin by thanking my colleague, Senator Skoufis, for bringing this resolution to the floor, and for the majority for continuing the tradition of this important day. I'm proud to rise and speak in favor of this resolution as we honor the cadets and leadership from the Military Academy at West Point. I'm very fortunate to represent a portion of Orange County, and while my district is not home to West Point certainly plays a very important role in my district and in the area that I was privileged to grow up. And when I think of West Point, I can't help but think back to his speech to the Corps of Cadets on May 12, 1962, when General Douglas MacArthur paid tribute to the Academy and its ideals with an eloquence and brevity that I could never capture. So I will quote his speech. "Duty, honor, country. Those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, and what you will be. They are your rallying points. To build courage when courage seems to fail, to regain faith when there seems to be little cause for faith, to create hope when hope becomes forlorn." Create hope when hope becomes forlorn. There's no better way to describe the United States Army, and in fact, all of our service members and what they bring to this world. They represent freedom. They represent hope. They stand against the enemies of not only our country, but also enemies to peace of this world. More than anything, I want to say thank you. Thank you to all of our service members, including the cadets that are here with us today. I also want to pause for a minute to say thank you, and we miss you, to someone who I admire very much, someone who I personally knew, and someone who cherished this day in a very big way, Colonel Bill Larkin. Colonel Larkin was one of the rare kinds of politicians, as we know, a senator who served right in this chamber, who cared far more about service than he did about politics. Bill Larkin began his career at the age of 16 as a private and saw combat in the Korean War as well as during World War II. He was a decorated soldier, as we all know, and on his final West Point day in this chamber in 2018, Colonel Larkin called this day, quote, "a great day in our lives. Everyone should be in this chamber giving respect to those willing to put their life on the line for the protection of this great country." The leadership of West Point is second to none. Colonel Larkin reminded us that West Point is only for the elite. And he said, quote, "we're looking for the best of the best." Indeed, Colonel Larkin was right, Madam President. No one could have said it better. The cadets of West Point are the best, the very best our nation has to offer. And Colonel Larkin was one of the greats of this chamber. There's no question that Colonel Larkin's spirit dwells with us here today, but more importantly, alongside of every cadet, every man and woman at West Point. May God bless Colonel Larkin. May God bless the Corps of Cadets. May God bless the United States military. And may God bless our great country. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Helming on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise today in support of this resolution. First, I'd like to start by thanking Leader Stuart Cousins for continuing this tradition of recognizing United States Military Academy Day here in the Senate chamber. It's so incredibly important. I also want to thank her for recognizing Colonel Bill Larkin, who I had the pleasure of serving with, just an incredible person. To the members of the United States Military Academy at West Point, welcome to the Senate chambers. It's such a pleasure and a true honor to have you with us today. To the leaders who are here, I want to thank you for the work that you do to educate and to inspire our next generation of leaders. Thank you for your tremendous commitment. To the cadets, I want you to know that your hard work and dedication are truly inspiring, and your commitment to our country is worthy of our recognition, our gratitude, and our praise. It's truly one of my greatest honors as a New York State Senator to recognize all of the men and women who have served or are serving in the United States Armed Forces. As a member of a military family, my father was a U.S. Air Force veteran who served during the Korean War, and I'm so proud of my son-in-law, who was a 2011 graduate of the United States Military Academy. Sorry, I get a little choked up. I'm so proud. This is it's truly a special day. It holds a special place in my heart. And to the cadets, I know graduation day and commissioning day, it's not that far out in the future for you. I want to be one of the first to say congratulations to all of you on this tremendous accomplishment. Your future is so bright and the opportunities are endless. They're endless. Being a West Point graduate has provided so many life-enhancing opportunities for my son-in-law, and I know it's going to do the same for you. Traveling the world where you'll have opportunities to lead, to train, and to inspire other soldiers and civilians. Attending Ranger School, completing Captain's Career Course, becoming a member of the Elite Special Forces, pursuing advanced educational studies. These are just some of the many wonderful opportunities you have to look forward to. I'm eternally grateful to each and every one of you here today. You are to be commended for your patriotism and for selflessly dedicating your lives to protecting our freedoms. We thank you, we support you, and we are so proud of you. May God bless all of you and your families. Madam President, just one more note that I'd like to make. I'd like to give a special shout out to Mackenzie Schertle. She's in her second year at West Point. Her mother, Donna, works in my district office. She's my case manager. Two amazing women, but to Mackenzie, I wish you all the best. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Harkam on the resolution.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I want to thank our Majority Leader for hosting this event. I want to thank Senator Skoufis for bringing forth the resolution, Chairman Brooks for his continued service chairing the Veterans Committee. Welcome. I want to, first of all, welcome all of you and welcome one of my constituents, Cadet Giovanni Biondo from Pound Ridge, actually 5 minutes from where I live. I'm in South Salem. You're in Pound Ridge, so next time I have the grill fired up in your home, feel free to come over. I just want to say I grew up in the shadows of West Point and spent many, many fond Saturdays tailgating and watching Army football, watching cadets parachute into the 50-yard line, the parades, the pageantry. And my father was a World War II veteran, and my mother's father was a World War I veteran. And there wasn't a lot of conversation about what happened, but I think bringing us to West Point on a regular basis was a way of kind of passing on some family heritage, as it were. And it was only as I got later in life that all the pageantry was just an expression of the values and the hard work that you do there. And as many of colleagues have said, you are the future leaders, not just of the military, but of this country. And it's at times like this when we as civilians need to remember how deadly serious the work you are doing is and how vitally important the studies you are undertaking right now are. And it's important for you to know that we appreciate the sacrifices you've made. As many people have said, you could have gone into any field you wanted to. You could be making money on TikTok. And instead, you've chosen to serve your country in a real and meaningful way, and in a way that few of us will imagine as you move forward in your careers. So we just want you to know that we value everything you're doing, we support you, and we thank you. God bless you. I vote aye.
Thank you, Senator Harkam. Senator Bailey on the resolution.
Well, thank you, Madam President. I have to follow Pete Harkam. I don't know about TikTok. I don't even know how to download that. But what I do know about is impressive leadership and bravery and a laser-sharp focus that you have. Knowing that you want to save lives, and you are saving lives whether you believe it or not. Your presence here is saving lives. You are an inspiration to those in your high school that you graduated from. You are an inspiration to your classmates. You are an inspiration to your family members. There are many things in this state and in this world that you have to be a certain age to do. You have to be a certain age to play lottery, to vote, to drink, a number of different things. There is no age for leadership. You're born a leader, and you are carrying your leadership to West Point. And I'm grateful for your sharp focus, because folks like me who have never served in the hallowed branches of the military, we get to assume the freedoms and the great liberties that you provide us. Make no mistake about it, that you do provide us. Even though you have not completed your term at West Point, you are a part of the fabric of this country. And make sure that you understand that in every day that you're there. Because when you're growing up in the Bronx, New York, and you see West Point, what you consider West Point is you know the football. And you know, even though I haven't had the pleasure of tailgating, and you know, like Senator Harkam, you know Army versus Navy. But as you grow up and as you learn and as you pay more attention to what's happening in the world, you realize that your presence saves us. Your presence permits us the ability to be on this very floor. Your presence, no pun intended, is a gift to us. And so in this chamber, under the leadership of Andre Stewart-Cousins, and I want to make sure I thank the senator of the area, Senator Skoufis, for bringing this resolution and bringing you all here, and Chairman Brooks, in this chamber, what we don't do is just pay attention to veterans on Veterans Day, Memorial Day. Because quite frankly, to those who have served, you're worth more than 10% off at a restaurant or a free meal. What you do for us is invaluable. And what you will do, as Senator Ott mentioned, it's not possible. You speak you speak it into existence. They say in my church, if you speak it into existence, so one of you will be. in those hollowed ranks. One of you will be leading the U.S. Army, but you have to believe it. The beautiful thing about this is that we believe it because we see it, and we're grateful for it. And I just want to say, as I close, the concept of freedom is a nebulous one, right? And the concept of leadership is also nebulous. Leadership is really easy to do for people that you know, and people that you're friends with, and people that you kind of meet. Leadership is impossibly difficult when you're doing things for people that you will never meet. What you are doing is remarkable because the lives that you will save, you'll never know them. They'll never know you. But you know why you did it. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for coming today. God bless you all in your future endeavors, and I look forward to seeing you one day on that dais making similar speeches. Thank you, Madam President. I vote aye.
Thank you, Senator Bailey. Senator Matera on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a very, very special day, proud moment for me. And I just want to commend and thank Senator Skoufis and Leader Stewart-Cousins for making sure this day is possible for all of us to be here, especially with these very special 8 cadets that are here for us, that are leaders, that are the elite. You know, I have somebody in my district that I'm proud of that is here today, and that is Cadet Jessica DeCina. She's actually, right now, she is Army Intelligence. She's a squad leader. You are definitely somebody special to our community, that you make sure that you are here for our future to protect us from harm's way. With these unprecedented times that we're going through, I can imagine what's going through every cadet that's up there right now. To sit there and say, you know what? The fear that is going through our whole world and what's going on. We just went through a pandemic, that was one thing, and now we're going through what's happening with Ukraine and what's happening to all people that we care about. And I just know that you are our future to serve and protect all of us. We are all proud of you, Jessica, for what you have done, not just when you went to Center Reach High School. Soccer player, fencing, violin player. Your parents and your family have to be so proud of you for what you have accomplished. You are an outstanding young woman with a bright future, and again, to serve and protect us, and that is so honorable, and I appreciate that so much. Again, I welcome you to the Senate, and I wish you the best as you achieve your dreams. And again, thank you that you are going to be serving in the U.S. Army after that you graduate. So, Jessica, I want to say God bless you and all your cadets. I want to say God bless the U.S. Army and all military and all the Americans that are serving, and especially God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Kennedy on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to rise and honor these young men and women, these brave cadets from West Point today. I want to thank the Majority Leader for bringing this resolution to the floor, to Senator Skoufis for continuing this extraordinary tradition as we honor the best of the best, of course, to Chairman Brooks for his leadership as it pertains to veterans, for him and Senator Ort and all the other veterans that have served so nobly in the United States military. We thank them. To Colonel Coleman, thank you for those wonderful words. To the chaplain for leading us in prayer. I come from a family of veterans, grandfathers who were veterans, a great uncle who died in World War II, a father who served in the U.S. Army. And as a son of the American Legion, it's always been instilled in me since I was a child, the importance of honoring our veterans, those that are serving today so nobly abroad and domestically, as well as those that have previously served. We have to honor those that put the military uniform on and go into battle. I think some of the words of Colonel Coleman bringing up George Washington, the fact that West Point was created upon the creation, the bedrock, the foundation of this state of New York and this country. You know, oftentimes we take for granted the position of the state of New York, the Empire State, and its relationship to the United States of America, leading our country in the Revolution, leading our country in sending Union soldiers to war in the Civil War, as was mentioned in the Fighting 69th, led by William Donovan from Buffalo that I represent. His Congressional Medal of Honor hangs in the Armory in Manhattan at the Fighting 69th Infantry today, along with other many brave recipients of that auspicious award. We stand on your shoulders today like we stand on the shoulders of those that have come before all of us, that have been the brave men and women that have served this United States military, that have given us the freedoms that we celebrate here and that we take advantage of here on this floor each and every day to serve the democracy that you protect and that you have given your life today and sacrificed it to go out and nobly serve this country, to put your life in harm's way so that we can make the laws to which govern this great democracy in this great land in New York and across the United States of America. So thank you. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being so brave. Thank you for being so visionary and such great leaders. And I said about Senator Skoufis leading this today from his district that West Point represents the best of the best. You can't just be a West Point cadet. You can't just be a West Point graduate. We know, as many of my colleagues here have already articulated, that these that sit before us here today are those leaders that we and our nation depend upon today and into the future to protect our democracy. So again, thank you. And I heard Senator Harkin talk about inviting all of us to his place when he has that barbecue grill going in the summer. I just want to say, because I know Senator Harkin very well, I think that was a very backwards way of saying that he wants to be invited to your house when your family is having its barbecue. But in all seriousness, Madam President, I'm excited to honor these West Point leaders here today and just to be a part of this extraordinary occasion once again on the Senate floor. So again, thank you for your leadership, and with that, Madam President, I vote aye.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Senator Krueger on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. So I have a nephew, Andy Gordon, West Point, 2002. Went off to the 101st Infantry. I think his group was one of the first into Iraq and did 3 tours in Iraq. Ended up leaving the military after about 8 years. Now is a lawyer with family and 2 children living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I remember when I first got to the Senate, and Bill Larkin was he was almost an unreplaceable person, and his commitment to West Point was so extraordinary. And we were not from the same political ideology, Bill and I. And so we started to have a couple of arguments. And Andy was actually listening one day at West Point. And he called me and he said, what you have to tell Senator Larkin is that what you're doing on the floor, debating the fundamental issues of democracy and what our laws should be, that's what we do at West Point. We're here to protect democracy so that you two can fight on the floor of the New York State Senate. And I thought it was so brilliant that this young man, who was just, I think, a college, maybe junior at the time, to realize the connection between what we do here and what we sometimes ask you to do, which is to go and lay your lives on the line so that we can have a free democracy and fight about issues here on the floor of the Senate. So I want to thank everyone at West Point for what you do every day. I want to thank you as the representatives of your generation. And I wanted to thank my nephew, Andy, who I'm very proud of and who served this country so well. And of course, I want to thank Senator Skoufis for bringing this resolution, and from our leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, who understands exactly the debate that Bill Larkin and I were having that day, and sometimes my colleagues across the aisle and I have right now. So again, what you do is critically important, and you had many other options, and just know we are so proud, so proud of you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Krueger. Senator Biaggi on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm really grateful to be able to be here today to address all of the West Point cadets. And I am especially proud as the representative from District 34 in the Bronx and Westchester to honor Yusen Zhang, who is my constituent from the Bronx. There is really nothing more exciting than being able to see young people be inspired by service to their communities and also to their country. And so for that, I want to say congratulations to all of you. There are very few things, it seems these days, that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle and us agree with. But I think that this is one area where we can all agree that the service that all of you are committed to every single day is something that we can all be proud of, because you are what represents the best, the absolute best of our communities and our countries. And you also are role models for all of the next generation who is coming before you, so don't forget that. I want to also just say to Yusen, you represent truly the resilience of the district that you come from, a district that has been through some of the most difficult times that we have all ever seen, a district that has had the highest number of COVID deaths, the greatest amount of need, some of the highest amount of homelessness and food insecurity. And so your service will also be a contributing factor to helping to deal with a lot of those issues as well. I will also say that I am confident in all of you that your time at West Point absolutely has served you well. I don't even have to talk to any of you to know that. We know that by the caliber of what West Point represents. And it will also make sure that whether or not you continue to want to serve your country in this way or your communities in this way, that no matter where you go, you will always, always be a leader. So don't forget that. And to my colleague, Senator Skoufis, thank you so much for gathering us today and for making sure that we are always committed to really honoring all of the leaders who are committed to service. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Biaggi. The resolution was previously adopted on March 22nd. I'd like to acknowledge the following cadets in attendance. Ask that you rise and be recognized. Giovanni Biondo, Michaela Choi, Jessica Helen DeSenya, Anthony Carl Marco III, Holland Pratt, Christopher Dante Ricciardi, Stephen Gerard Trombetta, Amya Ariel White, Yusen Zhang, and Diego Soto. Please rise and be recognized. Senator Gianaris.
Madam President, I know the cadets are hungry because they told me so over an hour ago when I saw them on the stairs. So let me remind everyone that there will be a luncheon in their honor in the Majority Conference Room, room 332, at the conclusion of session, which should not be too much longer, I don't think. And the resolution has been opened by Senator Skoufis for co-sponsorship.
There will be a reception in honor of our guests from West Point in the Majority Conference Room, 332. The resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor of the resolution, please notify the desk. Senator Gianaris.
I also have a motion to get in quickly on behalf of Senator Bailey on page 6 for the following amendments to Calendar 86, Senate 3526, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received, and the bill will retain its place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
Let's take up the reading of the calendar now, please.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 257, Senate Print 1847 by Senator Skoufis, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Borrello to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I'd like to thank Senator Skoufis for bringing this bill forward and to honor and to create a Tuskegee Airmen Commemoration Day. It was almost 30 years ago when I was a young business owner attending my first National Restaurant Association show in Chicago, where I had the pleasure of meeting one of the Tuskegee Airmen from that area. He told me some amazing stories about what it was like to serve his country in that time, and how proud and how patriotic he was. And though I cannot remember his name, I do recall that he could drink scotch like nobody's business. It was really an amazing experience for me because I'd never met anyone quite like that. And his life afterwards was even more amazing as he told me his stories. But today, here we are standing on the fourth Thursday of March, and we still do not have a Tuskegee Airmen Commemoration Day here in New York State. And that's kind of sad, because we're actually voting on this bill for the second time. And I'm wondering to myself, what could possibly stop someone from wanting to make this happen in New York State? So I would ask that this will hopefully be taken up in the other house, in the Assembly, and something as non-controversial as this could become a day to honor these brave men who we've lost so many of already. So, in my opinion, this is kind of an example of government dysfunction at probably its finest, and I would hope that we could actually do something as simple as this and truly honor these brave men who served so well to defend our nation. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Borrello to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 316, Senate Print 161 by Senator Gennardis, concurrent resolution of the Senate and Assembly proposing an amendment to Section 6 of Article 5 of the Constitution.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 359, Senate Print 6232 by Senator Kennedy, an act to amend the real property tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 30th day of the shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 430, Senate Print 7861A by Senator May, an act to direct the Department of Agriculture and Markets to develop and produce guidance and educational materials on the use of agrivoltaics in farming.
Read the last section.
Section 6, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 453, Senate Print 2012 by Senator Jackson, an act to amend the Administrative Code of the City of New York.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins.
Senator Jackson to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. My colleagues, I rise this afternoon to speak on my bill S-2012, sponsored in the Assembly by my colleague, our colleague, Assemblymember Jeffrey Denowitz, who I want to thank for his partnership. Programs that reduce costs for rent-burdened New Yorkers are essential. This bill will end the landlord practice of charging tenants a fee for installing air conditioner units in their apartment. New York City landlords increasing costs for rent-stabilized tenants by charging for the installation of their own tenants' appliances, even though these tenants pay for utilities. Eliminating such non-rent fees like the surcharge for tenant-installed air conditioning units will help reduce the strain New Yorkers feel every day during the ongoing pandemic. I trust you agree that fees for tenant-installed appliances should be eliminated. They merely serve as a backdoor mechanism for landlords of rent-stabilized buildings to raise additional income. In the spirit of rent reform and affordable housing policies, I hope you will join me in voting aye to end these fees. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Jackson to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce results.
In relation to calendar 453, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Boyle, Gallivan, Griffo, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Matera, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Sereno, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 43, nays 19.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 540, Senate Print 7107A by Senator Mannion, an act to amend the mental hygiene law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect 90 days from the date regulations in accordance with Section 1 of the New York State Register.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Giannaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 634, Senate Print 1131 by Senator Liu, an act to amend the tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Giannaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 634, voted in the negative, Senator Lanza, ayes 61, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 699, Senate Print 2204 by Senator May, an act to amend the education law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Giannaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 699, voted in the negative, Senator Lanza, ayes 61, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 700, Senate Print 6517 by Senator Stavisky, an act to amend the education law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Giannaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 714, Assembly number 7987 by Assemblymember Cusick, an act to amend the insurance law.
The bill is laid aside. Senator Giannaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
On to the controversial calendar, please, Madam President.
The Secretary will ring the bell. The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 714, Assembly number 7987 by Assemblymember Cusick, an act to amend the insurance law.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Madam President, I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that you recognize Senator White to be heard.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Accordingly, Madam President, I appeal the ruling of the chair and ask that you recognize Senator White.
The appeal has been made and recognized, and Senator White may be heard.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to appeal the ruling of the chair. The proposed amendment is germane to the bill at hand because the bill addresses issues related to New York's essential infrastructure. Similarly, the proposed amendment also addresses our infrastructure by holding the state liable for costs associated with the poor state of repair. Our state roadways are in dire need of repair, and particularly major portions of the Long Island Expressway in Suffolk County. The LIE is littered with potholes for miles, particularly in areas surrounding the exits and entrances. The New York State Department of Transportation reports that a third of the pavement on Long Island is now rated fair or poor. Statewide, the percentage of the state highway surface rated poor or fair has increased from 36% in 2016 to 45% in 2020. Over the same period, pavement rated good to excellent has decreased from 64% to 55%. These conditions increase New Yorkers' vehicle operating costs by $7.7 billion annually, and a significant financial burden for drivers. The state highway law provides that the state is liable for damages caused by the state of its roadways, but only during the warmer summer months. Presumably, the state sought to limit its liability in the winter months when more potholes occur, however, limiting motorists' ability to be reimbursed for damages. These damages are only for certain times of the year, and it's unfair to the motorists whose vehicles are damaged throughout the year. This bill would hold the state liable for damages year-round to compensate drivers for the damage done to their vehicles. It would ensure the state is accountable to the people for poor road conditions and spur greater focus on properly investing in our essential infrastructure. For these reasons, Madam President, I strongly urge you to reconsider your ruling.
Thank you, Senator White. I want to remind the House the vote is on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
Request a show of hands.
Madam President, we've agreed to waive the showing of hands and record each member of the minority in the affirmative.
Without objection, so ordered. Announce the result.
Ayes 20.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The Secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of the controversial
Is there
calendar.
any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
Move to adjourn until Monday, March 28th at 3 p.m., intervening days being legislative days.
The Senate stands adjourned until Monday, March 28th at 3 p.m., with the intervening days being legislative days.